Hey, what's up everyone? Danny and Alex. In this video, we're going to talk about some no-gi jiu-jitsu and how to stuff takedowns. All right, so when we talk about stand-up, I always like to refer to my old days about wrestling. So wrestling is a big part of our no-gi jiu-jitsu curriculum. So we need to talk about proper positioning first. All right, so if someone tries to shoot in on you in a no-gi match, there's no grips. All right, so you're gonna go collar and ties, wrist control, start to stuff on the forehead, or they're gonna feint and try to catch you in a double leg or a single leg. That's the most common attacks. I have to be aware of this. So my position is of utmost importance, and I keep on stressing on this. Just like the stances in striking, the positioning and your alignment according to your opponent facing you is going to be super important in no-gi jiu-jitsu, right? Now let's give an example of what I'm talking about. If I'm just standing here like this and Alex is in his proper wrestling stance, this is not a proper position for me right now, okay? So I can't attack offensively, and I also can't be defensive because I have nothing from here to stop his takedown attempts, all right? So the proper position that we need to have is I need to always relate to where his head is. Where the head goes, the body follows. Whether he goes offensively or I manipulate him defensively, he's going to react and his hips are going to have to follow where his head leads. So once we understand that concept, now as he starts to lower his stance, I want to change my level as well. I always want to have my forehead just on an even plane as his, okay? So that's the first thing here. That's the stance. And the same thing if I'm doing it to Alex, the moment we start the match and he sees me getting to here, now he wants to follow that level as well. The other thing I want to talk about the positioning is the arms. You'll see a lot of times people that haven't wrestled and people that go into jiu-jitsu tournaments, they'll have two things that I really dislike. The first one is people that come from a strict judo background. You can't just walk in a upright and erect fashion like this with your hands up. There's no collar grips here, all right? I have nothing. And the other thing too is sometimes people will get this position with their arms like this to defend the shot. This is no good, right? The same thing if I only have one like this. I need to have a barrier between me and my opponent. So here's an example of if you have your hands positioned like this, your palms like this, all right? If Alex shoots the double leg from here, he traps everything, including my arms, and now I'm stuck without a defense. Even from this position here, where he goes for that single, my arm is stuck and it's hard for me to stuff his head. Now, the proper positioning is going to have my fingers towards the ceiling, all right? So in this position here, my hands are in front of him. I don't want to have my palms down. I want them to have facing my opponent. This way here, my arms are always in front and ready because my first line of defense to stuff the shot is always going to be my arms, always my hands, okay? There's 4 lines of defenses to stuff takedowns. The first one, that's the first rule, and that's the one we're talking about today, is stuffing it using your palms. If they can't pass your palms, they're not going to reach your legs, okay? We'll talk in future videos about the 3 other lines of defenses, but for now, this is the easiest one to remember, okay? So when Alex changes his levels, I do so with him, and as he comes in to shoot, now my palms are going to jam his shoulders. If I can stop the shoulders, I'm slowing down the positioning of his head, and that's going to prevent him from reaching in deep into my legs. His fingers might even snap the leg a little bit, but not enough to cup and bring his hips to follow through and take me to my back, all right? So now, as he shoots in, I start to move my feet the moment I touch the shoulders, okay? So one more time here, I'm wrestling with him, and right away, my legs are ready to sprawl. And the one that's going to back out first is always going to be the lead leg. You'll see when I do it to Alex, watch his feet move as he pushes on the shoulders. He sees me level change, and from here, he moves out and gets back into a square stance, which is his most defensive stance, to start his sprawl, which will be the next level of defense afterwards. Okay, so now, we understand how to stuff the takedown from here, but we need a little bit more. I can't just wait like this and wait for him to shoot and reshoot and reshoot. Because if all I do is every time he shoots, he attempts, and I do this, eventually he doesn't feel threatened, and a good wrestler is not going to be intimidated by those stops, right? He's going to keep on shooting because he never pays for the attempts of shooting onto your legs. So the next thing I want to talk about is the moment we touch the shoulders from here, and I've sprawled back, now I want to stuff him down to the ground, all right? And the moment he misses the shot, my arms have to be active. So once I'm here, what I'm gonna do is go right into my favorite position, which is the front headlock position. The front headlock position is just as such. One hand goes inside, right in front of the shoulder, and the other one goes behind the shoulder, underneath the armpit, and comes across and reaches in. Now, you're not gonna see properly, but my palms are gonna get into this seatbelt position. Another one that's also very convenient is to get the S grip position. I'll show you why I like the S grip position. This one seems more solid, but this one is a great control when you have someone who's super ferocious and very strong. Boom, you lock him in, close the elbows. Now, if you have someone who kind of stands there on a standstill, he's on his knees waiting to see what's coming up next, you can switch easily to 4 fingers. That's the S grip right here. Now, you'll be able to manipulate something that I want to talk about. Once I'm here in this position, all of my weight is on my lead shoulder, stuffing the back of his neck right here, okay? Now, we'll switch positions here for 1 second, Alex. Watch my arm. When I go in for the front headlock, it's very important to keep the elbow visible. Your elbow right here has to still be across. If it goes in too deep, now I can't see my own elbow, I'm gonna miss the purpose of the front headlock. Don't confuse the front headlock position with a Dars, okay, or an anaconda choke. We don't wanna go in deep and choke the opponent out. We wanna control so we can spin and get to the next position I wanna talk about, okay? So this one comes across, it's almost like just the tip of my arm is gonna go in and slam right onto the neck. And now the other arm goes behind, and I go palm to palm or fingers together like this. Okay, let's go back to our original position. Now, when we do this, and we can touch our hands, immediately after, what I need to do now is push with my elbow against the back of his elbow. I want to bring this elbow off into this position. Watch what happens now. Alex, support my weight. Comfortable? No worries. Now, Alex, support my weight. See how it starts to collapse? There's no more base. This is what I want to do when I get this front headlock position. So I'm here. 1 and 2, right to this position. So the whole time, I want you guys pressuring with the shoulder on the back of his neck, but removing one of his base position, which is his elbow. All right? Now, when we're doing this, I'm just talking about the positioning, we're gonna raise up in a tripod position. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm 200 pounds and Alex is only 80 pounds, so I'm gonna apply the full weight, all right? I don't have someone my size right now to demonstrate, but in reality, what I'm doing is when I'm in this position here, I'm right here. I'm tripoding, so my weight dives into the opponent. This serves 2 things. Number 1, he receives all of the pressure, and number 2, my legs or my knees are out of his reach. So if he tries to reshoot underneath, it's gonna be very challenging to do so. If I stay onto my knees like this, and I adjust my front headlock, he could reshoot or do a sit-out position to escape this position. But if I'm on the tip of my toes as such, now he can't reach the legs, and because of the weight pressure, it's gonna be hard for him to do a proper sit-out position, okay? Now, let's connect everything from here. The moment I got this position and I remove the barrier here, I need to switch my position. I don't want to stay here all day. So there's a lot of space here. What I need to do is go and attack the back. So conventional teaching shows to bring the far knee and spin around as such. This is great. This is great techniques, right? I like to teach that as well, and most of the time that will work. But I want to talk about a new trick here today. Usually when I teach NOGI classes, I like to add a little bit of spice to each of the techniques that are conventional. So today's technique, what we're going to do, if you guys train that experience with us, you're going to love this. Once we're here, we're going to do 2 things to adjust. If I need to adjust this front headlock position, I'm going to make him feel like it's a choke. And as a matter of fact, it can be applied as a choke. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go our fingers together, lace them up, and now as I remove the barrier, I'm gonna extend as such. Now this far arm is gonna start to put a lot of pressure onto his neck. And this is gonna cause the strangulation technique, and he's gonna be about to tap, all right? Sometimes they can work as a submission. But a lot of times if they know the trick or if they wrestled before, they're gonna start to tuck in, squeeze, and turn to the side, which will alleviate some of that strangulation pressure. But that's gonna give me plenty of time to spin to get to the back turtle position. So right from here, Alex, and I'm on my knees, but don't forget that in reality, I'm driving as such, okay? But for the technique video, I'm gonna stay on my knees. Alex, how's this feel?
Okay.
It's okay, all right? Watch this. When I extend here, watch this. Alex, how's this feel? Huge difference, right? So, how's the second technique feel? How did it feel? A lot more pressure, right? And if I'm standing on top of him, now the pressure is on him, plus to get the double effect, watch where my head's gonna go. Remember I said at the beginning of the video is the wrestling rule is where the head goes, the body follows. So watch this. Where the body follows, the pressure and weight will also go. So when I get to here and I extend, I'll also put my head right beside his rib cage, just like this. And that creates a lot of pressure for him. And that is gonna give me plenty of time to spin to the side. Now when we spin to the side, I don't wanna just do this, right? When I spin to the side, I'm gonna remove this one. Now watch this. Put my hand to cup it and weave it just outside of his elbow, right? When I weave it here, it gives me a lot of space to start attack the turtle position, okay? Now, it's a lot of info and a lot of stuff thrown in, but we have to drill this. So I'm just breaking everything down slowly so you guys can use that imagination and visualize everything that's happening. Now, it's for every athlete watching this video to put this into a drill and do a lot of repetitions. Okay, this is what I do with Alex all the time. I'll teach it the technique, break it down in 3-4 parts, and then connect all of them together into one fluid motion and just do the whole drill nonstop. And eventually when we have it perfect, then we do it with more speed, okay? So let's start from the beginning, Alex. First, we talked about stopping the shoulders. Level change, hands are in position. That's the #1 rule, all right? Never here and never here. This is no good, and this is also no good, all right? If you have one protecting here, this is fine. Sometimes we do this, but you have to ensure you have at least one controlling the head, right? Sometimes you'll see wrestlers doing this. And this is what they're doing. One is acting as a barrier right here, right? But I don't want to have my hands just lazy like this, okay? This is ideal right here, especially if you're a jiu-jitsu athlete and you're going to go against a good wrestler. It's very easy to get taken down if you don't understand how to stuff takedown. So future videos we might talk about more advanced defenses, but for now, very basic for people who are starting out. If you don't have a lot of wrestling background in your pedigree, this is very easy to apply. Level change, always change levels with your opponent. Don't take a break if they don't. You have to be conditioned to work from here at all times, and your hands have to be up, right? Don't give him your hands. Don't give him the wrist control. Don't give him the arm drags. Just stay active right here. And the moment he shoots in, you can stuff and start to control where the shoulders go, right? So, I'll do it to Alex, and Alex is gonna spin around me, okay? Ready? Level change, I shoot in, stops, now I land here. Watch this front headlock. The moment he wraps this one inside, he interlaces the second one. Now drive all of your weight, Alex, onto your toes and bring your head to my rib cage right here. Right? So now you can actually see his head here on the side, right? This is where he wants me isolated. I'm feeling the pressure, I'm feeling the 80 pounds of his weight across my back. But now there's one thing left. He wants to remove my base. So he brings the hand inside, makes me collapse here. Very uncomfortable position. He extends his arms and now creates pressure here. I've seen people tap just from this. But now he's gonna bring this one and weave it around so it can go to the opposite side, and now I can't catch the single leg as he transfers his position. Transitions in Jiu-Jitsu are extremely important. When I teach Jiu-Jitsu, NOGI, GI, mixed martial arts, I always talk about how important the transitions are. A lot of people want to learn all of the techniques and the arm locks and all cool, and there's a million videos of how to do a certain variation of all the arm bars and chokes. But I couldn't care less about that stuff, because at the end of the day, the real secret to improving yourself as a fighter is transitions. If you remember this and you're watching this video, think about this for a moment, and one day when that sinks in, your jiu-jitsu will improve tenfold, all right? That's super important. I'll take an athlete and I'll teach him months and months of only transitioning and positioning, proper positioning, versus another athlete, and only teach him all the latest fancy techniques of submission techniques and far-fetched stuff, and then I'll have them paired up together, and I bet you 10 times out of 10, the athlete which I focused on positioning and transition will win every time, all right? Because everyone can learn how to do a choke, everyone can learn how to do a leg lock or an arm bar. Once we have it, right? But the transitioning is where it makes a huge, huge difference, okay? Now, let's go back to the technique. I want to talk about one more thing. It's very important. I did talk about that, but I want to re-stress again because it's crossing my mind. It's very important not to go too deep. A lot of jiu-jitsu people watch videos and they're like always trying to do darces, anacondas from the front headlock. And mind you, it's a great technique. It's very applicable from that position, but this is not the context for this video. I'll tell you why right now. Alex, get into this position. Put me in a deep front headlock. You do it to me, please. Right from here. Now make your elbow disappear. See on the camera here when he turns? Watch his elbow if he goes too deep. Goes in. See how this one goes in? Actually, let's do it from the other angle. All right, so Alex, I want to talk about this point. It's super important that once you get to the front headlock, you're not focusing on doing the submission like a Darce or an anaconda. This is not the purpose of this video. We're talking about the front headlock, guys. This is a controlling position, all right? The most important thing on the front headlock is to keep the elbow visible, all right? Big control. Now you have space to lock it in. Go. Seat belt, palm to palm, or S grip, but you lock everything in, right? Very important thing. Now watch this. If he goes for the front headlock and he goes in too deep, now the elbow is at my disposal. Watch what happens when I shuck it off from here. Boom. I get into a better position than he does, and I end up where he wanted to go. So it's super important that when you do these techniques, you practice and you visualize the details. When you apply them, you go slow, so you see those things. If you make a mistake, your second and third and fourth rep, all consecutive repetitions that you do, whether in your mind or with a training partner, have to be as close to perfection as possible. You have to understand what we're doing and why we're doing certain things. Don't just go through the move and say, hey, I saw that latest video on Instagram and poof, the guy does this, but you didn't even notice all the intricacies of what goes behind the technique, all right? So these videos that we do, a lot of times, I only teach to my students at our academy, but we're doing these on YouTube because we know that only the real serious students are gonna take note. The people just go through browsing different videos are gonna look for the latest techniques, and this is not what our channel is all about. It's about teaching the people who are serious, all right? So I'm not pretending to be that I'm better than anybody else. I'm just saying that I have a keen eye for details, and that's what I like to teach to my personal students. It's what I like to teach to my own son. All right, so this technique today is about the NOGI class. This is some things that we teach in the NOGI Jiu-Jitsu class that we have at our academy at Experience MMA and Fitness. And this video is just something I wanted to share with you guys to visualize and keep in mind. All right, guys, so there you have it. Quick techniques for the NOGI curriculum, how to stop the double leg shot when someone shoots aggressively on you. Jam the shoulders, get that front headlock, and spin so you can take the back. Until next time, guys.
We'll catch you guys in the next video.
Take care.